forget that today we are taking you right up to tip, 3 p.m. Eastern time on ABC, the big matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and the Seattle Storm, the top two teams in the WNBA standings. We will also get to see an MVP contender matchup between A'ja Wilson of the Aces and Breanna Stewart of the Seattle Storm. All right, fans. Well, we are excited because right now we have Sue Bird with us, three-time WNBA champion, guard for the Seattle Storm. Of course, her Storm will be featured in today's marquee matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and Seattle. Sue, I know the words that I can't mention during our conversation: fountain of youth. I'm not going to say spry. I'm not going to mention the number of years you've been playing in WNBA, but we do have to talk about your injury. Now, I know you missed your team's last game against Indiana. How's the knee doing?
It's not doing bad. It's just bone bruises are tricky, and you have to be really mindful. And it's like every athlete has probably been in this position where you're kind of in this percentage where you're okay, but it could get worse if you keep playing. So, you have to be smart. So even though it's hard to sit, I know the right decision is to allow my knee to get a little more time. Maybe I came back too soon. Who knows? At this point, I'm not going to try to live in the past, just trying to focus on getting it even healthier so I can be playing at a high level when my team needs me.
Okay, so we were just talking a little bit about your room. I want to talk about the couch you're sitting on, because I have seen you on a lot of wonderful shows, podcasts, things like that. But tell me exactly what's happened on that couch in that room during this Wubble time.
This could go in a lot of directions. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's like when you're in this Wubble, we've gotten so much attention as a league, which has been amazing. And we've been able to shine light on so many different things that we feel so passionate about. And with that comes a lot of interviews. So this couch right here has become like the interview station. We've got a nice little ring light set up. I was joking before, I've been able to do interviews, whether it's like MSNBC or, Ryan's podcast, R2C2 the other day, JJ Redick's podcast. And then Megan literally she was on the DNC the other day, hosting a panel for frontline workers. And that's where she did this interview from this very seat. So a lot has happened right in this room.
How is, kind of give us an update on life in the bubble. The teams are halfway through. Last week when we were talking to coaches, they were a little more irritable than usual. Holly Rowe, who's never irritable, was irritable last week. So for all the players too, you're at the halfway point. Kind of what is the mood for all the teams?
Yeah, I think we all kind of go through, or we all have gone through like different phases. There's been like the boredom phase where, that the initial 2-3 weeks of this experience was new. So it was kind of like, okay, this is new. We're exploring, we're finding different things. And then you settle in and you're like, oh God, this is really boring. But then games started. So that was kind of like a new, okay, we're refreshed, games have started. And now I think we've all kind of settled into, this is just, when you play every other day, you're just in this cycle of like, wake up, shoot around, game, go to sleep, wake up, practice, treatment, go to sleep, wake up, shoot. It's just, and it gets boring again, and you get a little, and then the icing, on the cake of all that is you get to see all these lovely people every day who, maybe you're playing against them, maybe they're reffing you. I feel like we all do a good job of just kind of like keeping it cool, keeping it polite. But, especially for me right now with this whole knee thing, every day I have, it's very nice of everyone to ask how I'm doing, but I also don't want to answer it 15 times, especially to my opponents, So it's interesting, but I think for the most part, it's safe. So it's hard to argue, it's hard to complain when the rest of the country is where it is. But yeah, there's phases. Let's just call them that. A lot of phases.
So, you were a part of the WNBA Players Association Executive Committee that really helped this bubble to come to life, right? It was you guys working with the league, having conversations, lots of Zooms, I'm sure went into this. You got player buy-in and everything's been going well. But I do get these texts every once in a while from my little brother saying, well, they have this in the NBA bubble and they don't have this in the WNBA and so on and so on. How did you focus on the needs, not the wants, in order to kind of make this come together and get buy-in from everyone that you needed?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I don't even know. At times I look around and it's like, wow, how did this even get pulled off? You know, because there's just so much detail to it with like safety protocols and making sure even the practice schedule. I can only imagine the work that it took to figure all that out. Who's in the weight room? Who's in the training room? Who's over here? Who's over there? And trying to get it all. So for the players, I think we had some lists of like non-negotiables, you know, where it's like, if it doesn't have this, we can't go. And then from there, you just have to kind of like bob and weave with the league and figure things out. Obviously, money is a huge player in all of this. For the NBA, I also think just based on where they are, I mean, they're at Disney. This is a resort that is there to entertain people, and so it has tons of things. Whereas we're on essentially like a sports campus, and people come here to like train. So for sports, it's amazing. It doesn't really have the entertainment part. Like I would love a bowling alley. I'm not going to lie. That would be great. But we have a pool, so I'll take it. So, you know, I think it's just, you know, it's a give and take like anything. It always comes down to money. But we've been lucky. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys have talked about how Asia Wilson has gotten Mountain Dew, her sponsor, to step in and hook us up with, you know, haircuts, hair treatments, whatever it is, get your hair did. And so that salon is now open, which is a huge plus. And that was actually, I wouldn't say that was on the non-negotiables, but that was like after like, are we going to get tested for COVID? That was like a distant, I don't know, maybe second, third, fourth. That was up there. People were talking about that. Like, what about our hair? If we're going to be on TV, you know, we can't look whack. So that's been good. Yeah, there's not a lot going on here though. Not going to lie.
Okay, so I have two questions because this is my last turn, so I'm going to overload with two questions. I did listen to your R2C2 podcast yesterday, and you talked to Ryan and CC Sabathia about how people view age. And I want to rebut this a little bit because I think that we talk about your age too much, maybe in your opinion, because we're obsessed with what you're doing at a high level, and it isn't normal. Like you're at this end of the spectrum from an age perspective, that what you're accomplishing on the basketball court is not normal for your age group. Is it okay that we talk about that and honor you and honor the otherworldliness that you are? And then my second question is, I wondered who you think is the MVP so far during the season. Okay, so those two questions.
Okay. No, thank you. I mean, listen, as I was even like right after answering that question, I get it. It's tricky, I think, because who we are as older players, like our age is a big part of that. And like what it takes to continue to be on the court, to continue to stay at a high level, it's a huge part of who I am now. And I think at times I even run into I don't know, it's like a constant battle. Like, I don't want to think about my age, but how do I not, you know? And so it wasn't that, you know, I didn't mean to come across like it shouldn't be covered, it shouldn't be talked about. I actually wear it as a badge of honor. I would say for the last like 4 years or so, when whatever day Swin retired and I officially became the oldest player in the league, I've been wearing it as a badge of honor. I don't mind that people say I'm the oldest player. I don't mind that it gets talked about. But what happens is in the tougher moments, when it becomes the storyline, you know, and like maybe you watch a player and just because they do something normal, it's like, oh, how did they do it at that age? That's when you start to feel a little, or if they have an off night, oh, maybe that age is getting them. But you know what? I might just be talking about my own inner battle, to be honest. Because it is.
Well, I just want you to know we're celebrating. I think we should be celebrating it because I think it's kick-ass and unbelievable. And I hope it comes from a celebratory place in our hearts that you see that.
Yeah, no, I do see that. It really, yeah. I only answered because Ryan asked. Come on. Okay. I would never have brought it up on my own. No, and truthfully, at the end of the day, I've been saying this for like a couple years now. If players like myself, if players like Diana, you know, obviously if you go into men's sports, you hear it talked about with Tom Brady. If we can change the narrative around older players and what that is, what that means, and maybe even like push that number back. Because I remember when I turned 30, when I turned 30, which now feels like light years ago, it was, oh, what are you going to do when you retire? I'm like, what? 30 was like this death sentence. And I hope that all of us who are doing this now and, you know, taking care of our bodies and kind of getting on the front end of that, if we can make 40 when people start asking that question, then maybe we've left an impact even greater than our points, our rebounds, and our assists. And my MVP is Stewie. I mean, it's not, to me, it's not even a question. I kind of, you know, it's the best player on what is right now the team with the best record. And it's just really the way she's playing. I mean, and then there's been, fortunately, I guess, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, she doesn't end up playing a lot of the fourth quarters. So stats aren't even like a real thing. So if you just look at the body of work and how she's playing and the impact she's having on our team, I think that alone makes her the MVP. Clearly I'm biased, but I'll take it.
Becky, you got one more rapid fire, or are we done?
I got one, and it's on the heels of that. Next spring, we're still dealing with craziness in our country. The Women's Soccer League gets together at IMG. You have the time. Megan invites you to be her +1 for the same amount of time in the same bubble. You in? Or you out?
I'm in.
Oh, man.
You have to.
That is.
It's because she's sitting right there.
She has her earphones in.
Oh, no.
I just got to look.
She's going to watch.
No, shout out to Megan. In order for her to work out, like soccer wise, like she has to get up at like 6:30 in the morning to get to the field. Otherwise it's too hot. So I don't know. I'd be lucky. So if the tables return, I could still use the basketball court. That's an indoor sport. I'd be good.
That is awesome. Well, listen, I'm just looking forward to the day where you match her hair color, Sue. Okay. Like, you got Mountain Dew in the bubble now, got a stylist, little purple color, little shade. Yeah. No,
I don't know. You got to draw a line somewhere.
Well, we appreciate your time, Sue. Tell Megan we said thank you for allowing us to borrow you. Have fun and keep bringing us all the goodness from the bubble. We appreciate not only your efforts in pulling it all together, but just how you guys are shining. The work you're doing around social justice is amazing. And we appreciate you.
Cool. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Shout out to the old players.